Hey everybody, it's Faye from Seattle Freeze Podcast, and my special guest today is Rebecca Terry. Say
Yes,
hi.
hi.
Rebecca's from Baby and the Nobodies. Hi.
Hi.
So I brought Rebecca here to Lila's coffee shop because it's my favorite coffee shop. We're drinking our iced drinks because it's super hot here in Seattle.
And it's coffee, so
Please.
please.
Yes, please. So let's talk about Baby and the Nobodies. I saw you for the first time at the spring opener a couple weeks ago because my friend Lonnie, who everyone knows and loves, is actually in your band now, right?
Yeah.
How long has he been in there, by the way? Baby and the Nobodies.
Maybe 2 months.
Okay, so
maybe
it's new.
3 months. He's new.
Yeah.
He's all shiny and new.
Yeah, he's always shiny and new, that Lonnie.
And spiky.
And real spiky. So let's talk about Baby and the Nobodies and how you even got Lonnie into Baby and the Nobodies and where you guys started and what you're doing, why you did it.
So we'll start with the Lonnie part.
Yeah.
I met Lonnie August last year. We were doing the Hillbilly Headbangers Ball, and he was super into the band, liked the band. We had a bass player at that point, and then when that bass player went his separate ways, I hit up Lonnie and I was like, hey, I need a bass
Lonnie's
player.
playing bass?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, he plays everything then. Because
Yeah,
now
he
I
does.
hear he's playing drums too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's like a one-man show.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Cool. So he came in, your bass player left, but I noticed, I was watching some of your older videos, you've had a few lineups.
Yes, I have.
And this is your baby.
Yes. This is my baby, my project. Yeah.
Okay, so talk about when you started Baby and the Nobodies and why.
Okay, so I started Baby and the Nobodies with my guitar player Rev.
Okay.
Rev was formerly in Atomic Outlaws and Prophets of Addiction. Really good guitar player, amazing songwriter. We just had this idea for this project, and it just started getting pieced together. I had been trying to get members myself, but unfortunately, sometimes when you're a girl and you're talking to a musician, they think that that's a pickup line for, hey.
I do know this. We're going to talk about women in rock and roll.
Yes.
Because I used to be in a band with Lonnie.
Yeah. So it got to the point in the very beginning where I'm like, I'm not having any success finding any serious male musicians that want to be in a band. They think this is me trying to date them. And
Right,
it's not.
it is.
So Rev ended up staffing the original lineup of the band. He handled it. When we first started, he was actually playing bass. We had a friend of ours named Will who was playing rhythm guitar, another friend named Chris who was playing lead guitar, and then my original drummer's name was Mark. And Rev and Mark worked together, and that was the original lineup. And then throughout the years, things changed. Rev went back to lead guitar. I had one person named Kenny, which we now call Kenny 1.0. He was playing bass for us. And then we had an amazing bass player named Chris Ewers playing with us for a while. He's now in a Slayer tribute band called Hell Awaits with my drummer Dana. We had another bass player named John, who's in Ludencrude, a tribute band. And then we had Kenny 2.0, which is why we had Kenny 1.0 and Kenny 2.0.
Yeah.
So
You've seen a lot.
Yes, yeah.
And this plant is in your hair, I noticed.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I like plants.
We're in the
Everybody knows
jungle.
I like plants. And now we have Lonnie.
And now you have Mr. Lonnie. So let's talk about, you were mentioning the stigma that a lot of female artists have in the music. And I even find that trying to interview people or reaching out to men to talk to, they think
it's a pickup line.
Yeah, they think I'm trying to pick them up. And I'm like, honey.
Yeah.
No. But I used to be in a band back in the 90s during the grunge era of Seattle. And there weren't a lot of female artists. You can scoot over too. There weren't a lot of female artists, but the ones that were extremely powerful, like Tina Bell, who was in Bam Bam. I don't know if you ever heard of them. Look her up. She was amazing. She passed away, but she was a pretty fierce leader. She was a woman that I looked up to in music because she told me, Faye, always just play horny. Like, don't. For whatever reason, that always stuck in my head. Like, just get up there and just be like sex. Yeah. She was so sexy and powerful.
Yeah.
She was like 5'2" and just amazing. But who are some of the women that you looked up to maybe locally as artists, or were there any?
Locally, when I was trying to get the band started, it was Jamie Nova
Okay,
and
from.
Witchburn.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just her stage presence was so strong, and just her energy, and like her figure, she was adorable. Just she was this powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the way that she would command the stage and command the room, and
I love that. That's
yeah,
yeah. You know a
yeah,
good performer when they can control an entire room. I'm that way too.
yeah. She
Yeah.
was better than most of the men at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Well, a lot of
yeah, yeah,
women are taking over music a little
yeah.
bit. I've noticed a lot of younger women are playing instruments and starting their own thing and doing their own bands now, and I think that's so great because
Yeah.
it shows the growth of women. And but we still will always have that, probably men always thinking we're trying to pick them up just because we're starting a conversation about a common interest or whatever,
Right, right.
you know who not locally, but who I think is amazing female artist is the singer from Anil and the Sniffers.
Okay.
She is probably one of the most incredible female artists I've ever seen. What she does, I don't think people realize, is really hard because she is like this warrior and she's moving all the time. Like her body's just this tight little mass because she's just physically moving all the time
Yeah.
and singing like these amazing, like I think it's kind of punk rock songs, and
Yeah.
she's quite amazing. If you ever have a chance, check her out. She's, I think, probably the most powerful female singer around right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's from Australia. As far as stage presence goes, she's pretty for her genre.
She's blonde too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I've seen.
She's
some
really
videos of her.
darling. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's super cute.
Yeah.
But what did you find when you were a little girl? Was this your dream to be a singer? Was
Always.
this
Always.
really?
Always. Yeah. I started singing before I was in kindergarten, and the first cassette tape that I fell in love with was Madonna, Like a Virgin.
Okay,
I
yeah.
used to sing that entire album beginning to end when I was a kid.
Madonna influenced a lot of people. I remember Madonna in the 80s. I was a young punk rock singer, and I had an attitude.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I threw baloney. Madonna played at the Paramount. It was her first concert.
Yeah.
And me and my friend Todd Streeter, may rest in peace, threw rotten baloney at the crowds. Childish. I was like 19.
Yeah. But no, for me it was Madonna and Tina Turner,
Mm.
Diana Ross. Like I grew
Me too.
up on pop and Motown. That's
Me
what I grew
too.
up on.
I used to listen to Motown, Diana Ross and the Supremes, and sing in my hairbrush.
I never did the hairbrush thing.
No?
No, I never did the hairbrush. I used to use my grandmother's rolling pin that she
Okay.
would use only for tortillas. Because she had
Nice.
one, it was metal, and it was almost like a rod, basically. And that was what she would use to roll out her flour tortillas. And so that was my microphone.
Wild. I love that
a rolling
story.
pin. But, yeah.
I love that, though.
Yeah.
So your family heritage is Latin?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
How old are you, may I ask?
37.
Oh, so you're still very young and getting that prime.
Yes, definitely in that prime.
Yeah, I know that prime. Wait till you hit 40.
I know, I keep hearing that it's just up.
Yeah,
up.
I mean, it really is, and it is. But I really like your stage presence. I was going to say that. I was watching you at that spring opener, and you command the room too, just so you know, and you're very powerful in your voice, but it's not overbearing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So in your family, did you have was your family encouraging you to sing? Was anyone in your family musical?
Okay, so yes and no. So my mother was always my primary supporter, and she was like, anything that you want to do, you can do it. Most of my family was negative about it because it wasn't realistic.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a thing growing up. My uncle used to be a musician, and he used to play trumpet in different little mariachi bands because he grew up in Topeka, Kansas. So he played trumpet in mariachi bands, and then he traveled with a couple of jazz bands when he was older. I have a cousin on my grandfather's side, or I might have been his sister, but she supposedly was a singer Never did anything with it, but she could sing. So there is some musical talent.
Somewhere in there, there's
Yeah.
that DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. My family, not so much. I'm the black sheep 100%.
Oh, yeah, I am too.
100,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, my mom and I are both the black sheep in the family.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, I think.
I think it's because we're the creative ones.
Yeah.
And we're not in that box that everybody wants to put people in.
My son, though, is probably the most incredible musician I know. He literally can play anything he picks up. He's one of those, you know?
Yeah.
One time I was in New Orleans and I was hanging out at my friend Claudia's house and I heard this piano music and I was like, this is really good. It was like bluesy. It was total New Orleans. And she goes, Faye, that's your son playing my piano. I go, no, it isn't. Dylan, I never gave him piano. He never played piano.
Right.
And I go out there and it's my son playing. I'm like, what are you doing? I go, when did you do this? He goes, I was at a party a year ago. I was really bored and they had a piano, so I just started playing it.
Oh my God.
I know, he's one of those.
I wish I was one of those.
But he has severe stage fright. So he used to play like the showbox.
Yeah.
He used to put on a one-man show because he was so brilliant. But the stage fright got to him and he quit.
Wow.
Yeah, stage fright's a real thing amongst musicians.
I don't really have that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I never did really. I have a lot of confidence on stage.
Yeah, for me, any like nerves or anxiety that I get before a show, it has more to do with letting down my bandmates
I see.
than it does like my personal feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, if I don't put on a good show, then it makes them look bad. And just, I think about things like that.
A lot of pressure being the singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, people think it's super easy, but you've got to, because I go see some bands, and if that singer isn't entertaining me, I'm getting bored.
That's how I am. That's exactly how I am.
Yeah, and that's why I like when I perform. It's like that whole bar is club or whatever is going to be on fire. You know,
Yeah.
because that's how it should be.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. And I was going to ask you something else about your lyrics. I was listening to your lyrics, and where do you get that inspiration? Because it seems a lot of love, a lot of introspection, I would say, about learning from your relationships. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that your inspiration?
So it's hard to say because I write some of the lyrics and then Rev, my guitar player, writes some of the lyrics.
Okay.
So we both write a lot. Usually what happens is he has a guitar lick in his head and then I come up with a melody line or he comes up with a melody line and like he'll fill in some of the dots and then I'll fill in some of the dots. And so it's very much a collaborative thing.
That's awesome you guys have that connection though, because that's hard to find too.
Yeah.
It's hard, I think, for a lot of men. I think especially in the Seattle scene. I lived in Austin, Texas, where there are a lot of female musicians.
Right, yeah.
It's a little bit different, I think. But I think in Seattle, it's really hard to find men that would trust a woman on that level as an artist. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, for him, like he always says that he has fun writing the lyrics because he has to take himself out of his perspective and write from a female perspective. So,
I love that.
So
I love that he can do that.
So do I.
That's amazing.
And
I would love to interview him sometime. We should get the whole band together.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, people think most of the time that I write 100% of the lyrics because it is from the female perspective.
It is, yeah.
But no, he literally steps out of it and he's like, if I was a woman and I was going through this.
Oh my gosh.
And,
Does he have a girlfriend?
Yes.
Well, then they must get along well because if he can put himself that way musically, it must incorporate into his life as well, right? Like, you would hope. You would hope anyway.
Right.
It's awesome. So what is, I noticed you guys also have some new songs out. You're doing some radio spots.
We're doing a lot of radio spots. We're going to be on KSW tonight for Loud and Local. So that'll be fun. Our local radio station's picking us up.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So how does that happen? Do you have a manager?
No.
You just do it?
Yeah. We work together as a team. Once again, Rev and we do a lot. I do a lot. So.
And you can tell because, you guys do a lot because the marketing's really good and your album looks really great. We can show that and tell people, of course, where to find you guys and all your new, you've got some gigs coming up. I know that.
Yes. Next one's June 26th at El Corazon. We're going to be opening for the Dolly Rots.
Yeah.
Go Betty Go and Peg Boy.
Yeah.
So that should be a fun show.
Yeah, that's going to be a great
stoked.
show.
I'm
Yeah.
stoked.
I saw your post on that. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
It's really cool when we can play with people we really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Rev. It's like Rev's toured with Faster Pussycat and LA Guns and various projects that he's in.
I thought I recognized him from a bunch.
And
Yeah.
those are bands that like he looked up to when he was younger. So the fact
Right.
that he's been able to tour with them and work with them, that's kind of how I am right now with this Dolly Rott's Go Betty Go show, because I was listening to those two bands when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And now I'm playing with them, and
Yeah.
it's cool to work with them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I've back in the 90s, I got to play with some really great people too. And, that was a different time in Seattle. We were joking about it because back in the 90s, we wouldn't even leave the house till 10, 11 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah.
And now Lonnie's calling us. It's like 7:45. You're going to miss us. We're going on. We're like, it's only like 7:45, dude. But they were actually on stage, so it's so funny how shows, at least in our era, like they have gotten earlier starts.
Well, yeah, and it's funny too because like people ask us, "So when are you playing?" It's like, "Well, we're gonna go on at 10:30. We go on at 11." And they're like, "Oh, that's so late."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "It's not that late. It's
I know.
a Saturday night. Like, let's go."
Yeah, it is funny though.
Yeah.
How the age difference does matter, and
Why can't you guys play at 7? Because the show doesn't start till 8.
right. But they are starting. Some places like Sea Monster and all that are starting to do Sunday matinees, which is cool
Yeah.
for old folks like us. But it is funny. We were joking about that. We're like, we're late seeing you guys, and it's 7:45. But yeah. So tell me some of your favorite bands in Seattle.
So right now, I would say one of my favorite bands, they don't really play Seattle that often, but they are a Seattle band, is Moon Fever.
I love Moon Fever.
Yeah.
I went and saw them.
They're amazing. The first time I saw them, a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you need to check them out. Let me know what you think of them." And I had no idea what to expect. And I was like, holy shit, like their
Singer's incredible.
Yeah.
I saw them on a fluke at El Corazon. I was at a punk show, and there was a little break, and they were playing at the other side of the bar. And me and my friend Pat O'Brien went, and we were just mesmerized. I was like, this is taking me back to the 90s. They remind me so much of that Seattle vibe we had in the 90s. I hadn't seen a band yet who had created that vibe that we used to have, where everyone was super stoked. They were playing, they were singing with them.
Yeah.
They were just, and I think they're kind of growing. I think they just went on tour.
Oh yeah, they've definitely been on some major tours that I've seen on social media.
Yeah, I want to get them on the podcast because I am a fan of this.
I absolutely love them. Their music is great.
Yeah, they're
Their
really good.
singer's presence, his energy, his
And they're
voice.
nice.
Yes.
He is so nice.
Yeah.
He's so polite and so gracious.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, your band is so great. And he's like, oh, thank you. Even when girls were coming up to him, you can imagine.
Oh yeah.
Girls are coming up to him, he would put them on pause and continue talking to us, which I thought, wow, what a gracious, kind gentleman. These women are throwing
Themselves.
at him.
He's like, hold on.
I'm talking to the old grunge people that used to know Lane Staley, So
Right.
yeah, but yeah, he reminded me of that era. Yeah, they're really good. I agree.
Yeah, they're definitely one of my favorites. Anytime that they play locally, I try to make it a point to take in their show.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen, but I try.
They are really
and then
good.
some other bands that I like, Redneck Girlfriend.
Oh, super fun.
I love Redneck Girlfriend.
Me too. They always put on a good show.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, and Terry's amazing. Last couple of years, I've done Porn Jam. He's played guitar for me because I've been doing Porn Jam probably, I want to say, last 3 to 4 years. And
Nice.
Terry's been teaming up with me to do
Oh,
Porn
I
Jam.
love that.
So that's cool. Stoned Evergreen Travelers.
Yeah, very
love
good.
them.
Love them. Always a good show. Always.
Yeah. And TJ, she's played bass for me for Porn Jam. And she actually played bass for Baby and the Nobodies at a show when we were in between
Nice.
bass players. So that
Yeah,
was fun.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you know a lot of people. I also like the Scoffs, Lonnie's other band.
Of course.
You have
And
to plug the Scoffs.
Of
because
course, and the Scoffs.
Now I'm going to tell you,
I actually just saw them last night in Olympia.
yeah, the Scoffs always a good show. You can't, the way Lonnie and Nuck bounce off each other is like none other.
Oh, yeah, and
and
Rob's a killer drummer.
they're just all really good musicians, and they always put on a killer show. But one of my favorite bands that Nuck is also in. One thing about Seattle, I noticed people are in different bands. Graceland 5.
Yes.
They're playing Friday with Dreadful Children, and I got 2 hours off work early so I could get ready. When they play, I am just so excited.
And that's up at Kraken, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to that.
Oh yeah, they're good, and they always put on a fun show. Mike plays a great Elvis, and it's just a good time.
Yeah.
I like the bands that give us a good time.
Yeah, Graceland 5, they played Olympia about a month ago down at McCoy's. So I went to go see them down there.
And they're funny, but really tight.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. So when you hanging out in Seattle, because you live in Olympia.
Yes.
What's your favorite club to go to? I'm going to ask you some Seattle questions as we wrap it up.
Okay. Usually if I go to shows in Seattle, I'm usually at El Corazon.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm usually at El Corazon if I'm in Seattle.
I usually go to Daryl's because it's in my neighborhood.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't go downtown too much. So when you're in Seattle, like, what's your favorite date place if you go on a date?
Japanesa.
Where's that?
Within walking distance to the Crocodile.
Is it a restaurant?
It's sushi.
Sushi. So you're a sushi girl.
It's sushi.
All right.
Yeah. But I'm also happy with taco truck, so taco truck can get the job done too.
Taco trucks. I'm an easy date. I don't need the fancy place. In Texas, they would have food court taco trucks where you could have. It was the perfect date night because you had every kind of taco truck you can imagine: Asian fusion, Mexican, Polynesian. And you would have dessert, like a dessert taco truck, so you could have your dessert there, and they had picnic tables and lights.
Cool. That's cool.
Super fun date. And drinks. You could have margaritas and stuff.
Yeah.
They don't have that in Seattle, unfortunately, but I wish they did.
They have some of that down in Portland.
Yeah, I think Portland tried it too, because I remember that Portland and Austin were kind of sister cities.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So also in Seattle, what's your favorite neighborhood to go walk around?
I don't usually.
You don't? Oh, you should.
I don't usually. Usually, if I come to Seattle, it's either for a show that I'm playing, a show that I'm attending, or a photo shoot.
Interesting, because you model too.
Yes.
That's right. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, so that's usually me in Seattle. That's our relationship.
Well, a good neighborhood, I think, is a fun neighborhood, even to go on a date or a girls' day, is Fremont. And they also have, you can go have a nice lunch. They have good Thai food, pizza, Mexican, and they have a pinball place, Audible.
Oh, okay.
Super fun if you like pinball.
I do like pinball. I also like air hockey.
I love air hockey. I'm killer at air hockey.
Yeah, I thought I was too until this guy that I used to date would always beat me, and I'm like, okay, I'm not as good as I thought I was.
You just met the wrong competitor.
Apparently, in many ways.
Yeah. It didn't work. Seattle's a tough place. Are you a single girl? It's confusing.
Yeah.
Or what is it called? It's confusing. What's it? Or I can't remember what they say it is. Yeah, it's a difficult town to date in for sure, especially if you're in a band.
Yes.
Yes. Because it's the wrong idea sometimes.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. Yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
All the time. All the time.
It's that weird, huh?
Sadly, no, because you just get used to it.
Yeah.
Which is the sad thing. It's like guys see you on display, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny when guys found out about me starting my topless tarot, right? All of a sudden they're emailing me and stuff. It's just a weird thing, right? I'm like, no, this is a business now. It's for I need to make money.
Right.
Plus help people. So.
Well, yeah, and it's even my modeling stuff. It's I'm either shooting for certain photographers that I've had these long relationships with, or I'm doing company work, or I'm shooting exclusively for a publication.
Right.
There's always an intention and a purpose as to why I'm doing a photo shoot.
Yeah, there's always an intention to purpose to anything that I do as well, because otherwise there's no point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's there's so many people out there and so many photographers that if you're just I'm going to work with you, there's no point. Yeah.
I used to model too. We're a lot alike.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I sang in a burlesque troupe and.
Oh wow! Have you ever been to New Orleans?
I have, yes. I
Yeah.
went right before COVID. A photographer friend of mine, he was turning 40. So I went down there for his 40th birthday. And
The music is lovely there too.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing just walking around, like just the energy, the music, and
One of the most magical times, there's this violinist who plays down there, and she plays any song you want and you can sing to it. She's amazing. And it was a summer night, and she was playing, and there was this balcony, and this woman in this long, beautiful gray dress, and the woman sang Summertime on the balcony. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was so New Orleans. It was that typical New Orleans vibe. It was so beautiful. That's what I love about that. You know, I think in Seattle it's been interesting for me because I moved away for about almost 10 years. And when I came back, it was, well, a lot of people I know had died, and a lot of the Seattle scene, a lot of the older bands have started regrouping again, which I thought was interesting to see.
Right.
And I wonder what kind of triggered that kind of, because, well, probably because everyone's dying and getting old and they just wanted to reminisce a little bit. As morbid as that is, it's true. And it's so weird to look back because we had so many good times back then, and to see the crowds now, they're just so different. You know what I mean? Like, I notice in Seattle, people don't dance or move very much at shows.
True.
And in Texas, there was a lot of dancing. New Orleans always. And even my friend who lives in California, in Paloma, California, he sends me videos all the time. His name's Jason Slimmy. He used to be a drummer here. He was really great. He's in some really great metal bands. And everyone's always dancing and having fun. And I'm like, what do you think it is about Seattle?
I don't know. I just, people.
From your stage perspective.
I don't know. I want to say that I think a lot of it has to do with people being conservative. As weird as that sounds, especially like in the rock scene, people being conservative, but people are very modest. And I feel like people are afraid to be themselves.
Yes, Seattle's like that a lot.
And like even big concerts, like let's say Madonna or something, like I feel like there's some people that are afraid to move because they're so worried that they're going to get into this person's bubble accidentally while dancing and moving and accidentally offend somebody, that they're afraid to do anything because they're so conservative and so worried about what could happen. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And it's unfortunate because you miss out on a lot of fun that way. You miss out on joy. And I think that's one reason I wanted to start the podcast, was to kind of break the ice a little bit about Seattle people. And because even when I was living in Texas and New Orleans, people there would talk about the Seattle freeze. It's kind of known throughout the country.
I was going to say, I have friends from the East Coast, and they talk about the Seattle freeze.
Everyone talks about the Seattle freeze, and it's true, though.
And it's so funny because, like, I'm so used to it because I'm from here that I'm like, what are you talking about? But then when I've traveled to other places,
you see it.
Like, people be like, oh, you're from Seattle? Is that Seattle freeze thing a real thing? And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how I kind of figured out it was real. First, I moved away and came back, and I was like, oh, yeah, people here don't talk. And I'm too much for people because I'm happy.
Right.
And then I also took two of my friends to New Orleans one time. They'd never been. And on the second day, one of my friends goes, what is going on here? I go, what do you mean? She goes, everybody says hello. Everybody looks you in the eye and says, good morning, you're beautiful. I go, isn't it nice?
That's how I felt when I went to Nashville for the first time.
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, good morning, how are you? And it wasn't just the hotel staff that are supposed to be nice.
Right,
it was
everyone.
Everybody. Mm-hmm. You pass somebody on the street, good morning. And I'm like, what? What is this?
Yeah, and Seattleites are not used to that, really. They are. They're
in their own little bubble.
But I've noticed the younger generation is kind of loosening that up, I think.
Probably because the younger generation isn't as afraid to be themselves.
Yeah, they're not. And I've noticed that especially younger women are more free to express themselves. Yeah. So I think it's changing. And we're going to lose that stigma hopefully soon, because there are some great people like you in Seattle, and you go out and you meet some really awesome people. There's assholes everywhere in every city for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the Seattle music scene for sure. But, everywhere you have that. It's not just Seattle.
Yeah.
But I think the key is to stay positive and and help each other out. And it sounds like you have that with your community and the music scene and all of that. Have you had a lot of conflict with other musicians?
I haven't had a lot of conflict, but I have had some
Yeah,
conflict.
I have with.
Some.
I remember we played with a very popular '90s band once, a female singer who shall remain nameless. They had a really big hit song, and she was just a bitch. And I just butted heads with her because I was like, first of all, we're opening for you, so I wouldn't get too big of a head.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
this.
Right.
We're playing at a bar in Portland, so this isn't like the Coliseum.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
It's not the Moda Center.
Yeah, this ain't. But for the most part, I think that what I see happening in the Seattle music scene is a lot of support now.
Most of my issues that I've had have been with tribute bands.
Tribute bands? A lot of tribute bands in this town.
That's been my issue because there's been a couple shows where we've been the opener for tribute bands, and then we just get treated like garbage.
That's
and
terrible.
It's like whoa. So
don't play with tribute bands.
Well, I'm not saying that because there are some nice musicians in tribute bands,
Right.
but I've ran across some real winners.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been some issues.
That's interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this town is full of tribute bands. If you ever,
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Seattle's the place for tribute bands.
It really is. Lots.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up at our time limits. But thanks for coming in and show your album. Talk about any news coming out for you guys.
We have a new album, and it's all shiny and pretty.
And pink.
It is pink.
My favorite color.
It really is pink. So I told the guys that if we did this, I wanted to do it right.
Oh, it's beautiful.
There are
no
color variations.
Whoa.
It is pink.
Oh, I love it.
I know. Isn't it beautiful?
It's gorgeous. Who did that for you? Who created this?
So what part of it? Like
The design.
Rev.
Rev is a talented man.
Yeah, Rev did all of this. I had ideas. So usually the way that Rev and I work, I tell him my crazy ideas, and I tell him what I want, and he rolls his eyes at me, and then it happens.
I love him already.
Yeah. He puts up with a lot, and he does an amazing job with stuff like this.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yay!
Yeah, we recorded
check it out.
Yeah, we recorded it up at London Bridge with Jonathan Plum. And,
nice.
Yeah, there's 2 different color variations. I just brought the one with me, but it's beautiful.
And where will they find this?
babyandthenobodies.com.
Check it out and checking them out if they're coming to your town. Do you have a tour planned this summer? What's going on? Just playing locally?
Probably just locally this summer. We want to get out next summer.
Right on.
So, yeah.
Yay. All right. Thanks for watching Seattle Free. See you later.